Hi, this is Johan Svenson from the Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, and you are listening to Fascination Street Podcast.
Yeah! AV in your ears, that's Ambush V, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world with my boy Steve, Fascination Street. You already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you...
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Johan Svenson. Johan is one of the three hosts of the Peacock original TV series, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. In this episode, we get to know Johan from where he was born and raised to what got him into interior design and set design. We talk a little bit about his retail shop there in Stockholm called FabLab, and then we talk a lot about the show. Again, it's called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. It's on Peacock. It's coming to Bravo. And on this show, they help people go through and pare down their belongings so that their family won't have to when that time comes. I had an absolute blast talking to Johan. He's everything you hope he would be if you saw him on the show. He's kind, he's generous of spirit, and he's a lot of fun to talk to. Go check it out. There may be a season 2 coming, but to help ensure that, go check out season 1. It's on Peacock, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. And this is my conversation with Johan Svenson.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Johan Svenson. How you doing today, man?
I am good. I am in Stockholm, and actually we're entering Pride Week, so I'm making a funny hat for a party tomorrow. So I'm in my studio cutting some neon plastic, mounting stuff with my glue gun at the moment.
Oh, rad. This whole interview, I'm going to sound like a dumb American, so I apologize right up front.
Thank you.
They have Pride Week in Stockholm?
Yeah, it's starting on tomorrow. I mean, the parade is next week on Saturday. So,
okay, cool.
But a lot of people like hosting parties. So tomorrow is like a private party. And the theme is divas and dragons. So I'm making like a dragon hat at the moment.
Oh, rad. No chance you're going to let me see that, is there?
Because I'm actually like doing it over here. I can probably like twist the camera so you can have a look.
Oh, how cool is that? That's the hat you're going to wear?
Yeah, exactly. So here I'm doing like the
dragon scales.
Yeah, exactly. The dragon scales.
Oh, that's gorgeous. What else are you going to wear?
Normally when I do like costumes, I actually start with something and then I build on it. So I'm kind of relaxed because I'm kind of a crafty person that can do a lot with my hands. I have a lot of like confidence in just finding something. So I like to do the process as it comes, because that's when you get a great result.
Sure, yeah, no pressure. It's easy to have no pressure when you have confidence, right?
Yeah, I think I always had a type of confidence, actually, when it comes to making things. I think that's why I actually entered into the set design world that took me to interior design as well, because I always felt like confidence in like making things and see things in 3D. And when I was a kid, I was actually doing a lot of like puppet theater and that type of stuff. So I learned at a very early age, from I was 5, actually making things with my hands. So I have this kind of total confidence when it comes to just like twisting something into an object.
That's really cool. So you were making puppets when you were a kid?
Yeah, I did. It was actually just by chance. In the city that I grew up, there was like a small theater. And before you like entered theater, like, you know, playing something on stage, you normally started in this workshop with this woman making puppeteers. You first started to make the puppeteer, and then as a group of kids, you made a play out of those puppeteers that you made. And there were like really no limits, or we created the stories ourselves. And I think that's actually gave me a foundation of creativity that I think is very rare today.
It certainly is over here on this side of the pond. So what I like to do, Johan, is I like to start from the beginning. And since we were just talking about, you know, growing up in your town and doing those cool things, where were you born and raised? Where'd you grow up?
Oh, I grew up in the middle of Sweden, out in the countryside. It was just me hanging out with the daughter of the priest and the son of the farmer. So I was really out in the countryside before we moved into a larger city. And then we moved around quite a bit when I was a kid because my father moved jobs. So like in my teenage years, I actually grew up in Dalecarlia, the same county where Ella is from. It's also part of the Swedish death cleaning series.
Oh, got you. But you're currently in Stockholm, is that right?
I am, yeah. I've been living here for several years. So, and I'm also like established here with my company and so on.
Oh, we're definitely going to talk about your company because I have lots of questions. So your dad's job moved around a bit. What did he do? What was his job?
Oh, he started as a marketing director at the company, and then he became CEO. So he was working for one of the biggest firms in Sweden, making taps and appliances for bathrooms. So there's like two big factories up in Dalecarlia that actually I think is just one company today. It's like one of the biggest brands who makes taps and shower products, which is exported to all over the world.
In America, we call taps faucets.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So that means that from a very early age, aesthetic and design was part of your life, right?
Yeah, in a way, yes. And also like my grandmother always took me to auctions when I was a kid. So that was like a Sunday thing for me to do, like going around and looking at old stuff, like a very vivid memory that I have because she lived quite nearby. So I joined her to these auctions on Sundays. And I think throughout my life also always been like looking at objects and interiors. But I didn't think so much about it, of course, when I was a kid.
Here in America, a lot of parents have expectations about what they want their kids to be when they grow up. Doctors want their kids to be doctors. Lawyers want their kids to be lawyers. Was there any expectation like that for you? Did your parents have any preferences or any ideas of what they wanted you to be when you grew up?
No, they did not actually. And I think they always saw me as a very creative person. So I tried out quite a lot of stuff when I was a kid. And this theater thing was actually, making these puppeteers, like being crafty was one of them. Yeah, so I tried all kinds of fields. When I left home, I started art history at the university and also went to like a school for photography. And then I had a friend back home who's like 11 years older than me. And she actually, she had been working at the state televisions. So she helped me. So I got like an internship as a set design assistant or like an art director assistant when I was 20 years old or like 21 years old. So that's actually how the journey started with set design and interior. And what happened later on, or if we look at interior design today, it's a lot about telling a story. If you look at contract design, like restaurants and hotels, there's a lot of like set designers who like merge into that type of industry because it's not just about the aesthetics anymore. It's about the story that lies behind the objects. And what a set designer is good at is actually like creating a state of mind in a space.
Wow. That's very not American. That's very, I don't know, European. I don't know. That seems like a higher level of thought about the spaces and the designs than we kind of have over here.
Yeah, it's the psychology of it all, in a way. And that's also what, the TV series was a lot about also like exploring the concept. I don't know if it's actually like came through, but for me, it's not about me having a certain style. It's about like following the psychological concept of a person, that the house or the home reflects that person, and then you're the one helping out with your skills and also brainstorming a bit around it. So it's a different type of approach.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ewan is talking about the Peacock original. I can say that, Peacock original, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's a Peacock original series. It is called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, based on the book by Margareta Magnusson, starring Johan Svenson, Katarina Blom, Eleanor Engstrom, and narrated, executive produced by Amy Poehler. Now, that show is streaming on Peacock, and I think it also went to Bravo. Is that right?
Yes, correct. I don't know the date yet, but it will air on Bravo.
Oh, it's not on Bravo yet.
No.
Okay. Well, it's on Peacock. Look for it on Bravo. My wife and I absolutely loved this show. There is one complaint, and I'm going to level it at you because this is entirely your fault. There's not enough episodes. All three of you, and I'm not going to ask you to speak for the other folks on the show, but all three of you are from Sweden, but you are very fluent in English. Why? Why do you guys speak English? Well, why do you speak English? You can't speak for them.
You're taught at a very early age English in school. I think I started to learn English around the age of 7 or 8, even if I'd never been, abroad in an English-speaking country at that time. And another thing, I'm just guessing, is that when I was a kid, and it's still like that, I mean, today it's like even more options out there, but like some other European countries, the TV series are dubbed. We always had subtitles in Sweden. So pop culture from America, from UK, when it was shown on state television, it was always in the original language. So I think that's one of the things. I also lived in London for a few years, so I have been speaking English on daily basis. But I know that it's like doing an interview like this. You need to be in the country for a while to get it perfectly fluent again.
No, but you guys, all three of you, I mean, there was a word or two that maybe y'all asked each other, on the show. You're like, is this the right word or whatever? But yeah, you guys masterfully spoke English. America doesn't do that. We don't just learn other languages unless we have to. But you guys did it just because that's just what y'all do over there?
Yeah, part of the school system. So, and when you get around like 12 years old, you choose a second language as well. I chose French at that point, but I was a bit lazy at that period in school. So I wouldn't say that I'm good at it. It's more that I can comprehend some sentences and I can read a bit, when I'm abroad. So normally that's the thing. That's the course that you start with English and then you choose a second language when you're a bit older.
Now, you said second language, but that would technically be a third, right? Because
the third language. Yeah.
What is the Swedish language called? Is it just called Swedish?
Svenska.
Oh, that makes more sense. Svenska. Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Here in the United States, at least back when I was going to school and when my kids were going to school, you didn't have to take a second language until high school. And then you have to take 2 years of whatever language you want. Here in South Texas, normally it's Spanish, but then everybody forgets all of the Spanish that they ever learned as soon as they graduate. Yeah. As soon as they get out of that class, they forgot Spanish. So you have this thing called FabLab.
Yeah.
And I want to know all about it. So, ladies and gentlemen listening, FabLab is, all right, you got to bear with me, man. FabLab is Bundegarten 7 in Sofo, and it is where you find paint, interior design, homeware, perfumes, and skincare from exclusive international brands. Tell me about FabLab.
I was consulting an interior design shop in Stockholm. I was helping them a bit. And when I was looking for a new office space, I found this shop space on street level in Sofo, a kind of a vivid, popular area in Stockholm with a lot of bars, restaurants, and niche boutiques.
Is it like Beverly Hills?
No, this is kind of quaint and small and more bohemian. And,
okay.
More hipster-like.
Sure.
It actually just was something that happened organically, that I thought of having an office and also work with a paint brand because I work a lot with paint in my job. And then the woman who had the shop before with clothes, she was just moving across the street. And then she said, "Oh, how boring. Now we get another office in one of the shop spaces here on the street. Why don't you open a shop instead?" And then I opened a shop and kept my old office where we are talking I'm actually in my studio right now, which I share with 2 other set designers. It became like a shop that grew organically. I created my own skincare brand. And one of the ideas was also to create the space that's more rare in Stockholm. There are very like few niche type of boutiques. It's also been like a bit of an experimental space in retail. It's very small, but it's like chosen, stuff that I like as the shop evolved. It's also about having a bit of more strategy to cater to a wider range of people as well. So it's actually that I own a shop as a side business.
Love that. So your real business is set design and interior design, and then your side business is owning a retail establishment.
Exactly.
How long have you had this retail establishment? It's called FabLab, right?
Yeah, it's called FabLab for 7 years.
Oh, wow. How did COVID affect your FabLab?
Well, we didn't have a lockdown in Sweden.
What?
Yeah. So we had restrictions. So with how far away you should be from people and limits in retail spaces. So I could actually keep the shop open with those regulations. So it didn't affect me that much, actually.
Oh, that is rad.
Yeah, exactly. And what's also was a bit different, I think, was that people who came to the shop, they were very specific what they wanted. So there was less of people, but at the same time, people who came to the shop, they really wanted to buy something. So
less browsing.
Yeah, less browsing, actually. So
that's good.
So I wasn't that affected. I think I feel that I'm more affected now because post-COVID and that we have an ongoing war in Europe with Russia and Ukraine and a recession at the same time. I feel that that's affecting the shop more today than during COVID.
Please forgive my ignorance. I'm going to say that a lot. How is the war in Ukraine and Russia, how does that affect Sweden?
Well, I'm not the one to actually do that analytic,
Well, okay. Well, what I guess I mean is, I guess I didn't realize that would affect Sweden at all.
No, but I think it's affect Europe with all kinds of things, with how the global world is connected with all types of shipping, harvest, also the exports from Ukraine. They export a lot of wheat. And I mean, there's been a lot of things that makes the whole market insecure about a lot of stuff as well. And that's combined with ongoing recession. I think, of course, it affects in the long run without, going into specific details. It's just something you can sense, in a way. And you can see that in the figures, of course, in your shop.
Right. That makes sense. Back to interior design and set design. When did you know that that's what you wanted to do? Like, I know that we've talked about your creativity and kind of things just kind of come to you and you sort of just go with the flow a little bit. But when did you know that this was going to be your career path?
Well, it's still an industry where you are an apprentice. It's very few schools who have like a set design program. I mean, we have one set design program in Sweden, but it's very few spots, and it's for people who want to be educated to work in theater. So that's very different. So if you start in the film industry or the commercial industry, you start as an apprentice or an assistant. So for me, I was just an assistant for a few years, and then suddenly I just started to get my own jobs. So after a while, I became represented by an agency and just continued to work. So I think the shift from assistant to doing my own jobs started around 15, 17 years ago.
Gotcha. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the show.
Yeah.
Actually, first, when you came to America to do the show was filmed in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Was this the first time you had come to America?
No, I've been to New York, Chicago, been to the West Coast before. I've been to Los Angeles, Las Vegas, San Francisco. So I've been to a lot of the bigger cities, but I've never been before to the Midwest. Once I followed a friend to Boulder in Colorado. Those are the places I've been to before. So it was very exciting to go to a spot you probably wouldn't have chosen to travel to yourself. I mean, it's probably a bit further down the list if you're thinking about what you want to explore in US. So I was pleasantly surprised by how fun and nice it was to work in Kansas City. So great people, a very cute city, and a lot of nice restaurants, art. For all of us, actually, a very good all-in-all experience to be there.
So Kansas City is a city that sits on the border of two states. It sits in Missouri and Kansas. Were you guys filming on the Missouri side?
Yes.
There is a place, I'm sure that you, I don't know, maybe you did. I don't know how long you were there. I have been to Kansas City, I don't know, like once. It's so cool. So we used to have riverboats. I guess we probably still have riverboats. So back in the 1800s, riverboats would be like the cargo ships that were carrying stuff up and down the Mississippi River or whatever to all these places. And in Kansas City, I don't remember which side. I don't remember if it's Missouri or Kansas.
Going on the river was the only thing that we didn't do. There's some kind of museum around the river and the boats that I went to, but there was an idea for some of us to go on a boat, but we never had the time actually to do that. I mean, when you do a first series like this, like a first season, there's a lot of work exploring different paths. So we were, working all the time when we were there.
Sure. I remember the name of the boat. It's called the Arabia. And what it was like a Walmart that was full of all of the housewares and the everything. But then it sank in the middle of this river and it stayed buried for like 100 years. And then this family like found it and like brought it up, and then they made a museum out of it. And so this whole museum is all of the things that they're dug up from this ship. And so there's like a million buttons, and there's fabric, and there's tools, and it's like somebody dug up 100-year-old Walmart and then made a museum out of it. It is amazing. It was just the coolest thing that I saw when I was there. If you ever go back and try and find that, you'll have a good time, I promise.
Oh, thank you.
So what was the casting process? From what I understand, you and Katarina and Eleanor did not know each other previous to the show. Is that right?
Exactly. All of us were pre-casted separately. Then we met at the final stage in Los Angeles last spring. Because the series is based on the bestseller, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, they was also looking for people who maybe had an interest in Sweden or had maybe some relatives or, some connection. And then they vacuumed Sweden for people as well. Our country is very small. It's the same population as California. So it's not that you will have thousands of people, going for a casting. I was contacted through Instagram. What I know now was at a later stage in the casting process that probably been going on for half a year before. I don't know about Ella and Katarina has actually been quite seen because she's done TED Talks and that kind of stuff as well. So this guy contacted me on Instagram, and then I did some Zoom castings and then went to LA. Yeah, we met during casting and we had a chemistry, because that's what it's called, like a chemistry test. I think everybody who's going to a casting at that stage would probably are fit for doing the job as a TV host, or they've probably seen qualities for that. So, but it's also about the chemistry of finding 2 to 3 people working together, making this come alive. And we started a WhatsApp group quite quickly and hanged out, had lunch. And of course, that had an effect during the 2 days we were filming and doing different scenes with different people and each other. The rest is history.
The rest is history. Well, you guys do have a great chemistry on screen. You can't tell that you guys didn't know each other. Like, it looks like you guys have been friends for your whole lives. It's a really warm back and forth that you guys have with each other, and that adds immensely to the show. There is a few things I'm going to ask that you might not have the answer to, and that's quite all right.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of every episode, there's a warning that says, be careful of strobing effects. I never found the strobing effect, man. What is that? Where did I miss it? Where was the strobing effects?
I don't know. Maybe it was in the first episode when we did the drag show together with Susie's old showgirl wardrobe. Maybe there was some lighting there. I haven't thought about that, actually.
But it's at the beginning of every single episode. And I'm just like, where is it?
I don't know. It's maybe a subliminal message that goes out.
I love that.
tweaking your brain to become dependent on the show. No, I'm going to think about that because I haven't seen that. Maybe it's just because I've seen the show on Link, so I haven't seen it presented in the Peacock context.
Right.
So I haven't heard that before.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Streetwalkers, Steve here. I'm proud to announce the newest and coolest sponsor of Fascination Street Podcast, Bravago Hard Seltzer. Go bold. Grill a tomahawk steak just for you on a Tuesday. Run your sprinklers twice in a row. Wear 2 different socks to your sister's wedding. Play golf with 2 balls from the ladies' tee box. However you go bold, do it with Bravago Bold Seltzer, the newest and boldest hard seltzer out there, with flavors like Sweet Freak, Vanilla Orange Cream, Chill Out, Rainier Cherry, and Sucker Punch, Strawberry Lemon. These seltzers pack an intense flavor and 5.1% alcohol by volume, with between 110 and 120 calories each. Find a store or purchase online at drinkbravago.com. Must be 21 or older to purchase or consume. Please drink responsibly. Go bold.
Let's get back into it.
So the show is it not in Sweden yet? Or is it?
No, it's not. I mean, it's an all-American production. The Scout production, the production company who makes Queer Eye, found this book and contacted Amy Poehler. And so it was this idea about what the death cleaning is and the story that the book conveys. So what could happen is that they present the show like any other show to different networks and platforms so someone can buy it. So there's no connection to any production company here in Sweden or television company. So that's the only thing I can see that someone might buy it. I haven't heard any rumors around that or anyone told me that that's something going on like that at the moment.
So does that mean that you don't get to tell your friends, hey, I'm on a TV show? You can't prove it. Yeah. They're just like, well, sure you are. Sure you are. Sure.
When the show had premiere and then the episodes were out, I showed some of my close friends some episodes. And I know that Peacock is available in some countries in Europe, but I don't know if the show is geographically locked to just to the States. And I also had like 2 friends in UK who downloaded it illegally so they could see it.
Oopsies. How long were you guys in Kansas City? Because if my math is correct, I think you did 8 houses, right? 8?
Yeah, we were there just about 3 months, actually.
Okay. And were you doing simultaneously? Like, did you do one house and then move on to the next one? Or were you doing a few houses all at the same time?
No, we did 2 houses at the same time. It was like a schedule that overlapped because all of the things like that I do takes time. So we recorded a few days and then it was like a few days in between before the reveal, or if there were maybe some renovation needed to, be done. And there's sometimes some houses had a lot of stuff that needed to be sorted. And these things takes time, even if it was a big team helping out, doing things to make it more efficient and in a fast pace. But not that we did like 3 houses at the same time, because you also need to be engaged in the story and the participant in the show. So you can't have a too scattered mind filming the show, because you need to be authentically engaged in every subject and participant. So I think that was a good strategy to just work on 2 cases simultaneously.
I think it worked perfectly. Remember I said earlier I just had 1 complaint and that there wasn't enough episodes? I lied. I have another complaint. A bunch of stuff that was on the show, particularly probably the things that you were a part of, that I don't really feel like got enough camera time. I mean, you come back, it's the big reveal, and all we saw was people sorting and going through and kind of getting rid of things and paring down things and donating things. And then we come back, for the big reveal, and there's new paint, there's new fixtures, there's new furniture. There's, in some cases, they have built things. Where's all that footage?
I think what probably has been tricky doing a first season is that it is not like a makeover show in that sense. So I think that probably was a hard part. How do you know, which story is the most important to tell? And the most important story is, of course, the participant and, you know, the crossroads in life for the participant, or their history, or, you know, what's going on in the present life and what is the future about. And also that Swedish death cleaning is about the process. It's not a quick fix, you know, that authority figure comes in and tells someone how life is supposed to be lived. So it's more of a relational type of show. It's like I told the showrunner, it's kind of a slow reality. It's not quick reality. But I get that because a friend said that too to me. And I think probably those are the pitfalls sometimes. But I still agree that if something has to go, it's probably more the process of design that I do, because are really like strong stories in these different episodes that you want to get so much detail out of as possible. And I think when it goes out to the Bravo network, I think the episodes are a bit like shortened even to fit that type of cable format. So I'm the icing on the cake, and sometimes you don't see me working behind the scenes.
Well, whether we get to see you working behind the scenes or not, all of the design aspects and the final products and the reveals were absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't have to tell you, you did a great job. There is a wooden horse in every single episode.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that wooden horse? And is it one wooden horse, or is it 8 different wooden horses?
In this first season, that is the same horse appearing. That is just a tinted wooden horse in wood. And it's a big symbol for Sweden and the county where me and Ella is from. It's the Dalecarlian horse, which is actually like an old historical peasant toy, you know, that you carved out for your kids to play with. So normally that horse is painted in a lot of different vivid colors. The most common one is red. So it has always become like a Swedish symbol as well, the Dalecarlian horse, because of the specific look. That is a bit of a more of a, you know, sleek, minimalistic look, to have it raw without any paint on. So you can just like Google the Dalecarlian horse and you will see how the originals look like when they've been painted. So it's one of the most popular souvenirs for people to buy visiting Sweden.
So was it sort of just kind of an Easter egg just to give the little Swedish touch, like, hey, we were kind of like we were here?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like a signature on the artwork.
I love it. Where is that wooden horse now? In some prop trailer?
Oh, no. That's a gift to everyone in the show. So it's not just placed there and taken away. So we had different ones to gift all the participants.
Oh, cool.
So the horse is in all of their houses now.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Very, very pretty.
I hope we can update the look if we do a second season. It would be fun to have maybe one of the colored ones. We'll see what they say about that, because there are a lot of different versions, also like local in Sweden, depending on which county the horse is from.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, it's super cute.
I want to talk about shoes and glasses. You're there for 3 months in Kansas City, away from your home.
Yeah.
And yet it seemed to me like you were wearing a different pair of shoes every time you were on camera. How many pair of shoes did you take with you? And also, how many did you buy while you were in America?
Well, I have to reveal, we had a fabulous stylist called Heidi. So when we all met in the beginning, I mean, the style should, of course, reflect us. So we talked about what we are comfortable in and so on. But there's a lot of episodes and there's a lot of different occasions. You wouldn't have time to go out and shop these things for yourself. So I think it's like a normal commercial styling. Some things are like, you know, borrowed and you return them, and some clothes are bought with a budget for the production. But the shoe thing is actually something that I always liked personally. It's a Spanish brand called Camper that I love, which has a very fair price point, and they always have a lot of color. And I always loved colorful shoes. So that's like a character trait that Heidi kept while fixing my outfits during the show. I mean, I had 35 different outfits during this summer, so there was a lot of work for her.
That is a lot.
Times 3, because we were 3 people.
I also love shoes. I have about 40 pair of shoes at my house that I actually wear. It's not the kinds that are just a display. So every time I was just staring at your shoes, I'm like, where do those even come? I've never even seen. So your shoes were pretty dope.
Yeah.
You wore a few different pair of glasses, but Ella probably wore 50 different pair of glasses. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, that was the way for her to accessorize. And yeah, they were really cool. I don't know anything about them, actually, but
Sure.
I just love the character of all her glasses. I mean, there's very few people who are brave enough to like have really fun type of glasses. So it gives everyone a bit of happy energy when she enters the rooms with her fun designer glasses.
Indeed. I want to talk about fika.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say that right?
Fika, yeah.
Fika is coffee, or is fika more like a coffee break?
It's a coffee break. There's actually a history to it. It was actually a way to take a break for the factory workers in the good old days. And when they did that, you could see that there were lesser accidents. So that's actually one of the where it origins from. And also it's been a part of culture to like fika and have 7 different types of cookies, and always been a way for people to meet, to hang over a coffee. A lot of times that, you know, you talk to a friend and they said, shall we have a fika tomorrow or this afternoon or etc. And fika doesn't just mean that you grab a coffee. It means a conversation, a debrief, and catching up, or, you know, a moment that you share together that's probably a bit like longer. During work days at your job, fika is something that you would have probably like 10 o'clock before lunch and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And this is very common?
Yes.
It's everywhere? It's a thing?
It's a golden standard.
So on the show, there was a fika trailer, like it looks like a place where you can actually get coffee.
Yeah.
Was it a working coffee truck?
Yeah, it was actually a local business in KC. It was a woman owning this. So she joined us to different locations and set that up so we could have our coffees and fika breaks. So she joined us to the different locations. And what is really like significant and true about this situation is that if you look at us as 3 people working with these different subjects, if this would have been in Sweden, it would have been the same way. We would have met, 10 o'clock before lunch and talked about, because that becomes like this semi-professional situation where you talk about yourself, you have a laugh, it becomes relaxing. But it might also in that relaxed moment pop up an idea of some sort that might solve something during the workday. So that's why I think fika has this really kind of bonding power, both about work, a bit of gossip, and the debrief about how things are going.
Love it. What did you learn about America that you didn't already know in your time here? I mean, you learned that we have a lot of shit. Yeah. We have a lot of crap. We keep everything.
I mean, like culturally, I had a very good time in KC. A lot of the people in the team on the production said that the Midwest is very like open, friendly, generous, and talkative, because I really love that social way of people, in everyday type of situations, which is less common here in Sweden. That people talk in the elevator to each other, breaking into someone else's conversation. Oh, I saw that TV series yesterday as well. Did you like it? Blah, blah, blah. This type of social oil in the social machinery that we don't have in Sweden. We are much more quieter and shy about things. I mean, sometimes people don't even greet you when you're going home. It's a bit like autistic here sometimes.
Oh, that is awesome. Was there a set budget for each house? I mean, I don't need numbers, but was there a specific, you can only spend this much money on each house? Because the spending is probably where you came in the most because you're doing all the design and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the same thing for me when I do commercials or, or work within interior design. That's the same type of discussions about, how much money do you have? But at the same time, this is not, as I said before, like a design show, or, I mean, it's a psychology show. I have that aspect with me as a TV host. It's not about me just waiting to talk about design or something. It's about talking about being a human being and connecting with what death cleaning is. We are all three of us supporters in that sense of picking that person's life, see the different parts of it, mending things, or, giving a new view. So I wouldn't say that we did like a lot of like super expensive stuff in that sense. It's not like ripping out a house, because this show is also, the Swedish way is actually to be more sustainable. What can you reuse, upscale, turn around and twist? It's more about getting rid of stuff. So there were very little going out and buying a lot of stuff in that sense. So I think we were on budget in that sense. Sometimes you can have an interior space that will cost a bit more, but that happens every time when you're doing a production, and something you thought was going to be more expensive became less expensive. So it's not that kind of we splurge and, do something over the top extra. It's about actually that the design and the way of choosing things should be like kind of sustainable and connected to the whole idea of what the show is about.
The show did a great job of shining lights on things that even Americans didn't know about. For instance, Womantown.
Oh, yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
That was one of the most amazing tidbits, from a historical perspective, and I guess from a civil rights perspective.
Yes.
That whole area I had never heard of, and I thought it was a really, really cool way to stumble upon, a history lesson.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite episodes just because of that story, the episode with Sue Marino, who is an artist and also like a retired art teacher. Her partner died during COVID. That episode is about editing her art and going through stuff, donating, all of that kind of stuff. The thing is that I was in contact with an activist that I got to know when we were filming in Kansas, and he actually showed me a YouTube clip about that, like a documentary. So that was very, and this was actually before we did Sue's episodes. I didn't know about this. So I was very envious of that Katarina was the one having the scenes going with Sue through the Womantown, because I already had like this preconception, already actually learned about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was amazing. I think that was like fascinating. Also, as you say, historically and politically, about this thing that I don't know what she said really. I don't remember now, but that you as a single woman or couldn't take a bank loan or something. So them buying these houses together in this unpopular neighborhood and making it into a lesbian community, and all these images from that time. You can watch that over again because it's so exciting what was going on at that time.
Agreed. And I was particularly surprised. I mean, I know that we have that on our history, but I thought that kind of history was in like the late 1800s, the early 1900s. This was in the 1980s.
Yeah.
That really blew me away.
Yeah. And also what I do like about all the episodes of this series is it's about connection, and when people lose connection to other people. And I mean, that's how we use objects and things to actually relate and understand that these are also like traces of your life, what to keep, what not to keep, and get a fuller understanding of yourself. So I like that in every episode. What becomes really obvious in the episode with Sue is that it is this strong connection to a community, and that's something that's universal. Everybody longs to belong in some way.
Agreed. Again, the show is The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. It's on Peacock, coming to Bravo eventually. I know that Swedish death cleaning is an ethos that has been part of Sweden for probably millennia. Can you explain, what is it? Is it a mindset?
It's both a practice and a mindset. The book which I can also tell your listener is more like a novel. It goes quite quickly to read. What it's all about is this kind of altruistic way that we live in Sweden, and in that kind of community that our kind of socialistic society is built upon, is that you should, as an individual, take responsibility. You shouldn't burden other people, and especially your family. So it's about starting at an older age, taking care of stuff and editing a bit, and not just keeping a lot of crap and stuff. But at the same time, it also colors the way you might start to live your life when you're young, not like burden your space with a lot of unnecessary buys. So in a way, it's kind of an editing process. And I think in a way, a lot of people like joke a little bit about it. I mean, it's not that you would like in a serious way say that, oh, I'm going to do death cleaning now. It's more that, I've started a bit of death cleaning now. It could be like this kind of sentence coming, because you might go through your attic and understanding that there's a lot of things up here and it's just me who can decide to take care of this, or you and your partner or your family. So I think that type of editing is going on quite a lot in people's lives on an early stage. And that's also what we teach in the series. It's not about that you need to be old to start to do this. It's something you can do when you move or something shift in your life, see what does actually serve you in your life right now. So it's about letting go, live at the moment, but also have a little eye into the future.
Well, it came off beautifully. It was very well done. Like I said, we love the show. Hopefully there's going to be a second season. I'm not going to ask you. You don't know anyway.
No, I mean, there's a casting already actually going on. That's official. That there's a casting in the Austin area in Texas.
In Austin?
Yes.
That's an hour from me.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Oh, rad.
So tell all your friends, so that it's out there. I've never done television before, but they will probably take some time before they give what they call the green light, when they actually decide to do a second season. And I don't know when that will be. So there's a lot of different parts probably like playing in. And I'm very excited to see the show on Bravo, because Peacock has a big reach, but Bravo probably reaches 4 times more households than Peacock does.
I'm sure, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it's received there as well. And I think that's what also the producers are curious about, because at the end of the day, we get so much love, so much messages from people, and we have gotten like great reviews in all major magazines in the US. But at the end of the day, I think it's about how many people are actually watching the show if we get renewed. It's a hardcore fact.
Well, everybody should definitely check it out. Again, it's on Peacock. It's going to be on Bravo. It might be on Bravo by the time this comes out. It's called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. No kidding. My wife and I absolutely love the show. We're so excited. I can't wait to go tell her that there might be a second season. She's gonna be so excited. Tell me about Doug's Wieners.
Oh, yeah, Doug's Wieners.
Did you take one home?
No, I did not, actually. That was the show when you say that I don't know if you have that expression in the US as well, but, when you make a joke that's so easy as kicking in, an open door. So he was really fun. All of the people we met on the show are like lovely characters and have led super exciting lives, and still does, of course, because there were a lot of different ages with everyone had very different stories, young and old. But Doug was really fun in that sense that I think he was like the only like collector on the show, like who had this really fun collections. I mean, I didn't know about this Wiener brand, and I thought it was really interesting that they even had or still have like their own cars in the shape of a wiener in a bread.
Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't aware of that brand. That's a pretty big deal over here.
Yeah. No, we don't have. No, I've never seen it in Europe.
Well, I think that tells you about the ingredients. Johan, where can people find you on social media?
Oh, it's actually my last name _ my name. So it's Svenson _ Johan.
Oh, rad. Before I let you go, Johan, is there anything we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about that you specifically wanted to talk about today? Like, did we cover everything?
Well, I think we kind of covered everything. I think for people who haven't watched the show, I think it's kind of interesting that this is a very different show in the sense that, you know, we had a lot of reality going on about someone is poor. We go in there, we blow everything out. And in 2 days, we build a new kitchen, you know, and everything. This is actually a show about real people, real destinies. It's about a process, finding a sustainable way of living. So I think when you seen one episode, it evokes a lot of inspiration and questions about your own life in a deeper way. And that's one part that I'm, you know, very proud of doing this show.
Well, you should be very proud, all three of you. Again, Johan Svenson, Katarina Blom, and Eleanor Engstrom are all the hosts. Amy Poehler is, of course, the narrator and executive producer, and she throws in some jokes because she's Amy Poehler. Man, Johan Svenson, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic interior design schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Maybe we'll chat again if there's a season 2.
If there's a season 2, I'm going to go tap you on the shoulder in Austin and be like, hey, bro, what's up, man? Johan, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. And you have a great rest of your day, man. I can't thank you enough. Seriously, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Send my regards to your wife as well.
Absolutely. And have fun at that party.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to continue work now.
Yeah, I wish I could see what your whole outfit is going to be. I bet it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think probably I will reveal some on social media, you know, tomorrow.
All right, cool. Well, have fun, man.
Yeah,
Take it easy.
You. Bye.
Bye-bye. Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Venn. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jack's Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.